Hey, this is Mikey with another After Effects tutorial. Today we're going to be making these vector trails for shape layers. It's really kind of cool, and I'll show you how to do it. So before we get started, I just have a couple of questions I want to ask all my viewers about. First off, I'm contemplating changing somewhat the format and the name of the channel. Right now I focus mainly on After Effects tutorials, but that's not all that I do. I do a lot of video production and Premiere and Photoshop and things like that. So I'm thinking about changing the name to Mikey's After Effects and Production Tips. So with that, I can do some tutorials on Audition, on Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, even video recording, and just general production tips. So unless there's any huge complaints, then expect that in the next few weeks. Also, thank you for sticking around. I took a nice break here at the end of last year, and it's a new year and ready to start things up again. Alright, so let's get started into this tutorial. And as you see here, we've got the shape layer star, and it's spinning around, moving, and it's got these little trails that just follow along. I used to do things like this with the echo effect and some noise built onto it, but it got really complicated and kind of cumbersome, and I found a new way of doing it and I wanted to share it with you. I'm going to show you the easy way because it takes some expressions to make it work, and then instead of taking you through the whole entire complicated expression, which took me a while to figure out because I'm not that good at math, I'm just going to give you the expression and then you can just copy and paste it. But let's start with a new composition just so we can put on a background. I like blue. And let's just grab a rectangle tool and let's make a box. Now what I'm going to add to this is called Write On. So over in the Effects and Presets, generate Write On, drag it right on. And so how this works is there's a position of the brush. And so as I move the position, see if I keyframe the position, go forward in time, and then move that to somewhere else, you can see it creates this kind of trails. And you can see how it kind of writes that on. Let's change the size of the brush. Okay, pretty cool. But that's not what we want to do. So let's add a little expression to this to make it work how we want. First, let's bring the brush size to where we want, and then the brush spacing down as low as it will go. Then let's reset the brush position to the center, which is 960 by 540 on this one. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an expression to the brush position. So hold down Option or Alt on your keyboard and click on the stopwatch down in the timeline. And right there it says Effect Right On 1. I'm going to delete that, and as simple as what we need to put is just this: value plus position. And what that's doing is it's taking the initial value of the brush position and adding it the position of your layer. So if I come in here, now I can just move the position of the layer. I'm going to keyframe the position. And you can see it's moving it, but it's not right where we need to be. And the reason why is because the brush position value was set at 960 by 540. So we need to zero that out. And it zeroes it right onto my square. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to make it so it disappears. And you do that with the brush length. Now the numbers for the brush length are a little bit finicky, and you move them a little bit and it does a lot. So what I like to do is I'm going to add another expression to this, or Alt or Option, click on the stopwatch. I'm going to put value and divide the whole thing by 100, and it gives you a little bit more play. So basically the higher the number, the longer the trail, and then it just shuts it off. Pulls it right back in. So that's the easy version of this. Now, if I come in here and let's take this shape layer and let's make it a different color. You can see that the trails, you can see the dot right on it. So it works better if they're both the same color. But if they're a different color, then now I can see where I'm putting these dots. And to have multiple trails, all I have to do is duplicate the effect and then move the dots. Duplicate it, move the dot. Duplicate it, and then move the dot. And I'm moving the, what ends up being the brush position, which was at 0, 0, but now I move things over, and then now I've got these kind of trails like this. Really, really simple. The problem with just this version of it, without all the other things that I'm going to show you here in a second, is if I wanted to rotate, yeah, it doesn't rotate. Or if I add a scale, it doesn't move the position of the dots. So that's where this next expression comes in. I'm going to actually have to go in and just copy and paste it on, because there's a lot of expression to this. But I will show you everything that it does. Okay, so there it is. Looks the same. But again, let's move this to one of the corners. And then what we can do now is if we rotate this, it keeps the dot where it needs to be. And let me show you that expression code right now. And then again, this will be down in the comments below and the description below. So how this works is I've got a few things. D, I just put D, it's kind of like a delta, and what that's doing is it's taking, it's finding the distance from center of where you put your dot. And so it's doing just the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, to find that. And then I need to also find the angle of where the dot is based on the center. So there's some expressions for that using a tangent trigonometry expression. And then I need to develop a scale, because as I scale x and y, I need to be able to know what that's doing. And then I also need to find the rotation of the layer itself, and using with that, it's a sine and a cosine of the radians and rotation, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot to it. And then I add it all together, and it's able to keep track of all of that. So I'm going to copy and paste this into the description, or you can just take a look at it here. This again is all just on the brush position, and it works wonderfully. And with something like this, this is the kind of effect we can look at. So hopefully this is something that's useful to you. It's really kind of fun to do, and I really like the effect of these trails. There's nothing really like this built into After Effects, so you kind of have to cheat it and figure it out using some expressions. So make sure you check out the expression in the description, try it out, and let me know if you have any questions or comments, and I can help you out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.